Hi, I'm Robert Wheeler, and what I'd like to share with you today is a very brief introduction into a book that was recently published called What, Why, and How. It's an ambitious book, even though it's not very heavy and not very long. If you have any questions about it, there is a good website that you can check, ontoscience.com. I'll point this out in the presentation. If you'll notice from this slide, there's a statement about their anthology. That's because this book is an anthology, a collection of writings that were originally designed to stand alone. The author attempted to bring them together and eliminate some of the duplication between the chapters. And also, he tried to arrange them in a sequence which would provide a theme. And the theme of this book is, what have you learned? Learning, whether you like it or not, seems to be our basic function in life. It is inevitable. We start out at birth with a clean slate. Very fast, we start accumulating information, going through childhood, schooling, and then years of experience. Learning happens. That seems to be our objective. The author spent more than 90 years, about 90 plus years, let's just say that. Succeeded in getting 4 academic degrees, pursued 3 different careers, all the way from being a scrawny kid to a gung-ho soldier, to an engineer, and then to a research psychologist. And he got to thinking, after all of that, I should have learned something. But what is it that I learned that is of any importance? The first thing that he would like to share with you is that all thinking people, normally functioning people, seem to have an innate need to explain their existence, why they're here, where they came from, what they're doing, what's the meaning of it all. And he calls this an imperative, the ontological imperative. It doesn't make any difference whether this was put into us by a creator or whether it was something that evolved through happenstance. It's there. We have to recognize it. And he calls this the ontological imperative. It's a basic motivation that energizes the things that we do, our daily activities. Unfortunately, the only good way of getting a handle on this is through thinking, through speculation, assumptions. And it's not new. The ancient Greek word autos captured this thousands of years ago. The study of being. Why are we here? What's the meaning of it? And it is beyond science. And even today, with all of our technological knowledge, we still have to rely on philosophy, speculation. And this is what started religions and has been a dominant effect on our culture. Well, what's the object of this ontological imperative? Is it just to meet daily needs, to make a living? Is it a hierarchy of goals? Does it get complicated? Is there really a purpose in life? And what's the scope of it? Well, that's one thing. What is the object of this ontological imperative? then what is the source of it? Is it the result of a divine power that created things that we're existing in? Or was it some other mysterious power that started evolution? We don't know. And even today, we don't know. It is mysterious. And this is the object of a lot of study in psychology. It's called ultimate concerns. What is ultimate reality? What is the object of the ontological imperative, and what is its source? Referred to frequently as a worldview, a philosophy of life, the perennial philosophy. But whatever it is, it must provide for certain things. First of all, it has to provide for cause. We live in a cause and effect environment. We look for causes for things. So whatever our worldview is, it has to provide for a first cause. That's our ultimate concern. It has to be a benevolent cause that is a benevolent benefactor for us. It could be a deity. It could be some adaptive process, or it could be none. So that is the first thing. The second thing that he thinks is important of what he has learned is that this whole affair has been a dominant force in history. It has dominated societies. It has developed civilization. It has developed culture. It started religions that continue to exist today and still are dominant in our culture. Now, whether you believe in a religion or not doesn't erase you from the effects on culture because it's there. The third thing that's important in all this is that this whole effort has become subdued. Even though it is innate to all of us, we're comfortable now in life. We can meet daily needs, and we don't have to worry so much about what started it all. We are dominated by consumerism, material wealth, gaining things, entertainment, pleasures, and consequently, the provision for ultimate concerns that religion and culture and civilization has provided for us comes into conflict with our current experiences and with the knowledge that science has provided for us. Okay, those are the first three things. The fourth thing that seems to be important in all of this is that our view of what's going on, our view of reality, is very limited. The further out in space that astronomers can look, the more they see. The further into the atom that physicists can look, the more they see. It's even gotten to the place now that physics has boiled down the basic constituents of what we think of as hard material are nothing more than wisps of energy, ideas, bits of information, functions. So what's the importance of all this? Well, despite the increase in our comforts, our resources, and the provisions for meeting our daily needs, personal problems, domestic problems, national problems, global problems have increased. There has been a massive increase in the problems of personal anxiety, depression, suicide, crime, global terrorism. It seems that people need more than just the comforts and satisfaction of meeting daily needs. What is this more? It has to be provided by a rejuvenation in a concern about the ontological imperative. People need to start recognizing their needs for this type of explanation. Religion and belief have been important in this. They have in the past been rather effective in providing this something more. Spirituality is a term that has become popular, and it refers to a concern that people have about something beyond themselves. That really is a way of looking at this something more that we seem to need, a worldview, a philosophy of life, something that results from the ontological imperative. And it's important to recognize it varies considerably among people. First of all, just because of their temperament, that is, their biological makeup. Some people are more concerned about the here and now. Some people are more concerned about why they're here. So there's a big variance among people. It varies according to our early childhood experiences, our learning, and the situation that we're in now. So when this concern becomes conceptualized to the place that it can be shared with others, it can be socially organized. We have a tendency to accept what other people have already organized for us. So that is when religion develops, and religion still exerts a big control over our daily activities. It results in dogma that has to be believed and adhered to, and it is still a prevalent force in our culture. Hopefully, your basic concerns, as ramified in this term spirituality, are consistent enough with the religions that you are confronted with, that it provides a certain amount of comfort and satisfaction. Unfortunately, at the present time, that's few and far between. The role of belief, another thing, very briefly touched on here, but you can see how belief affects the advantages and disadvantages of religion. And this is what the author calls the great paradox, because it's been well established that we need to have both. We need to have science that doubts why we're here and what's going on, that stimulates research and has developed the comforts that we enjoy. But unfortunately, science does not provide for the basic ideas. We need religion that can develop worldviews, philosophies. So we need both belief and doubt. This is the great paradox. And with a great paradox comes dilemmas. We're uncomfortable with paradoxes. We have a tendency to select one side or another of it, and this poses problems. We have to recognize that we just don't know. This, the author calls no Gnosticism. And then another major thing that's involved with this great paradox is pragmatic pluralism. We have to recognize that our knowledge is so limited and now indicates that there is so much beyond our knowledge that anything could really exist. Anything is possible, but not everything is probable. Despite the possibilities, we have to live in the world the way it is, here and now. It has to be practical. This is pragmatism. So the author pushes a philosophy that he calls pragmatic pluralism. Here is a brief summary of the important factors in pragmatic pluralism. It grows out of the great paradox. We have to be tolerant of other people's views without sacrificing our own. He calls this ecumenical humanism. It's already been mentioned about Gnosticism. We have to recognize that there's a lot beyond our knowledge, even at the present time, with the advances that have been made, to such an extent that we have to recognize that there are possibly other universes, other realities. This is pluralism. And then pragmatism, live in the here and now, despite all of the possibilities. So somehow people have got to go back to thinking a little bit more deeply about what's going on. So in summary, here is the theme. What? What is it we're talking about? It's the struggle for existence, enduring hardships of daily life. Why do we do it? What's the meaning of it? Why? Is it an innate goal that has to be explained, that comes through our natural tendency to grow, to learn, and to contribute to the growth and learning, not only of other people, but to our species? And how are we going to do it? Through recognizing the need, through adopting a philosophy of pragmatic pluralism. And what is needed to get this done? It's a shift in our media. What we're bombarded with on TV, magazines, and newspapers on a daily basis, what the politicians emphasize, and what our educators are teaching our children. The major impact. This is the important part of all of this presentation. If we could do this, it would alleviate personal problems of increased anxiety, depression, suicide, and sense of dissatisfaction that's so prevalent. It would reduce the crime, the violence, homicide that's going on nationally. And globally, it would eliminate a lot of the competition, the terrorism, warfare. So that's the impact, personal, national, and global. Be open to questions about life, meaning, and think independently of daily activities. Thank you for letting me share this with you.